They took $450,000 from my grandfather and thought no one would question it. They thought he was just an old farmer with no power, no voice, and no family who'd fight back. But what they didn't realize, he left behind someone who doesn't back down, and they made one fatal mistake. They built their luxury resort on our land. My grandfather bought that land over 50 years ago. It wasn't just soil and fences to him, it was home. It was sweat, sacrifice, and pride. He raised my father there, planted every tree with his bare hands, and spent his life keeping that land alive. But when the city started expanding, so did the greed. That's when the HOA crept in like snakes in the grass. They claimed his old farmhouse didn't fit the neighborhood aesthetic. They said the fencing was an eyesore. The barn was too large. His equipment was too noisy. At first, he thought it was a misunderstanding, maybe just a new neighborhood regulation or something minor. But no, every month brought new fines. $500 here, $1,000 there. They even fined him for unauthorized crops. What does that even mean? He was growing corn, not cooking meth. Still, my grandfather tried to play by the rules. He paid what he could. He showed up to every meeting with paperwork, photos, even letters from his neighbors backing him up. But the board wouldn't listen. They looked down on him, laughed behind closed doors, and one of them, I'll never forget this, told him straight to his face, "Maybe it's time people like you moved on. This land's worth more than your memories." It broke him. Over the next few years, the fines piled up. Then came legal notices, court threats. Eventually, under pressure, he was forced to sign over a portion of the property to settle the dispute. That land, it was where he used to take me fishing as a kid. I was 10 years old when I saw tears in his eyes for the first time. Fast forward 5 years, my grandfather passed away. Quietly, no headlines, no outrage, no one holding the HOA accountable. But I remembered everything. And I wasn't going to let that be the end of it. I inherited the land and the records. I started going through old deeds, county maps, surveys. That's when I noticed something strange. A large portion of the resort built by the HOA's developer partners wasn't actually on their legally acquired land. It overlapped with the southern section of our property. The part Grandpa never gave up. The part he still legally owned. When he died, and you know what that meant, they stole from us. Again, but this time, I had the paper trail. I hired a real estate attorney, someone ruthless, someone who hated corrupt HOAs even more than I did. We filed a quiet title action. The developers laughed at first. Then we showed them the original boundary markers, the signed affidavits, the drone footage, the legal land survey. The mood shifted fast. Turns out, nearly 20% of their private resort, including a tennis court, to villas, and a portion of their spa, was on land they didn't own. Land that legally belonged to me. They tried to negotiate. They offered hush money. But I wasn't interested in handouts. We pushed hard. The case went to court. The media got involved. And suddenly, the HOA that once terrorized an old man in silence was being ripped apart in public. The judge ruled in our favor. The HOA's partners were ordered to pay damages, and trust me, they weren't small. By the time it was over, the total compensation was nearly double what they extorted from my grandfather. They tried to take our land. They tried to bury his legacy. But in the end, his name is the one that stands. And there's another crooked chapter in a forgotten file. So too, every smug HOA board member out there who thinks they can steal from honest families and rewrite history, let this be your warning. We remember, we fight, and sometimes we win.